Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Woohoo! Today's video we are doing the hot takes. So I saw this video from Emily Noel. I will link her video down below. I've also seen some other creators do it. I know Kelly Gooch has done it, so I'll have some other videos linked in my description box. But basically I asked on my YouTube community tab if you guys would write in maybe some bold statements, maybe some unpopular opinions, and I am reacting to them, sharing my thoughts on these. We have a lot to talk about with the beauty community, declutters, makeup collection. I mean, we have a lot to get into today. I did do it get ready with me style, so I am doing this look in today's video. I just have a couple new products that I'm trying out from Urban Decay, the Ultimate Brush Off Set and Go Powder. From Dalton Beauty, they have a new palette out. This is an eye and face palette. Also from Dalton, they have a new mascara out as well. So if you want to see how I got this look while I respond to some of your hot takes, why don't we go ahead and get started. Okay. Hello, welcome. Here we are. Going to start off with the face. I just have a couple new products in here. Everything else is products that I've used or I've been trying out, but I will link everything that I use in my description box. So if I don't mention something, that will be linked there. But starting off with this Papaya face milk from Fourth Ray Beauty. It's considered skincare, but sometimes I use it as a primer too, just because I am a rebel without a cause, you know. Okay, and while I'm looking good right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into it. There's a lot. I have so many screenshots on my phone, it's crazy. I'll try to get through as many as I can. Okay, Jordan Loves Everything says, decluttering often is done for the wrong reasons. People shouldn't be excited about getting rid of stuff that they worked hard to be able to buy. How many times have you seen, wow, biggest declutter of my life, over 50% gone? As the title to a video, it'd be better to think more about what you are buying before getting it and not have to declutter it later. Also, decluttering often makes room for more makeup. Decluttering and haul videos both contribute to our buying addictions. Okay, so, and I've seen a few other people chat too about declutters and how they don't love them, or maybe that they're done for the wrong reasons. So I feel like, so first, like I said, I'm definitely someone who I've made videos of like, wow, this is a huge declutter, or like I've decluttered a lot in here. I think as a creator on my side of it, I think that it can be challenging because I think there's an expectation on content creators to consistently put out reviews of new products. It is what people like to see. You know, I've mentioned this in my like Who Has the Power video, that a lot of times videos on newer makeup releases get better views than videos on older products, throwback videos, things like that. People are excited to see these new products. I remember as a new creator, when I first started, I didn't have a big makeup collection. I still wasn't really, I mean, I still don't know how to do makeup, let's be serious, but I like really didn't know what to be doing. And I would often use the same products over and over in my videos, right? Like the same products were always getting shown and everything. I would get like, one of my top comments that I would see so repeatedly is, how come you always show the same stuff? Are you not buying any new makeup? I watch YouTube videos to see the new makeup. You need to buy new makeup. And I mean, it put me on a pretty bad path of consistently buying new makeup to be able to have in my videos, which got me into a lot of trouble financially that I have touched on in the past. So I think it's hard because, again, just thinking of myself as a creator, it's hard because we want to be purchasing new products because people are requesting them to be reviewed. I get a request, I get multiple requests every single day to purchase a new product, right? Because people enjoy seeing that, and I love reviews too. I'm always looking at reviews. So when I'm considering buying something, I'm gonna watch a video and see how it performs and see how it swatches and see what that person is saying about the reviews and if they would like it and if it would work for my skin and my skin tone and, you know, all those different things. So I think that's a pressure that we have, and something that I've had to learn, that I can't just buy to buy products. But still, there are times where I buy something that I'm genuinely interested in, but I also know, oh, this would be great to be able to do a review on or something like that. And then also over time, if you are able to catch the attention of brands, sometimes you are able to get PR. And I think that decluttering, especially for me as of lately, I've been trying to do more declutters because I want to keep my actual collection what I want it to be. Like, yes, I enjoy reviewing products. If I get something sent to me in PR and people seem excited about it and they want to see that, I want to be able to make those videos, but it doesn't mean that I want to keep everything. And, you know, with declutters, I feel like you always have to add in like I'm not just throwing these products away. You're either giving them to friends, or you're being able to donate them, or, you know, you can try to like resell them on, you know, certain like Poshmark or Mercury, whichever one, whatever one that one is, you know what I mean? But you know, so it's not like those products are just going to waste. I'm not using a palette 4 times and then just dumping it in the trash or something like that. Like, so I don't know. I can kind of see it both ways. I can see where it'd be like, oh my gosh, more declutters, and maybe this seems wasteful or this seems pointless or something like that. But then I also understand the challenges of constantly feeling like we have to be putting out the new makeup and buying the new releases and all of that, and then wanting to go through your collection to keep your actual collection how you want it to be. When I moved, I now have 2 different rooms. This is my filming room, but this is also the room where I keep all of my new makeup. Once I have reviewed the products, I move it into my next room, the room next to me, which is kind of like my office, where I have my laptop and my desk and all of that, and I have my makeup collection in there. That is how I have divided my space and my makeup, because otherwise it just is too overwhelming. So I have boxes around the room of like what I'm, you know, what's open, what am I trying, what have I done a first impression of, what needs to be reviewed next, what do I need to review down the line. It's something for like when I personally do declutters, I try to add in reviews of everything. I don't try to just be like, nope, keep, gone. Like, I try to be like, this is why I like it, this is why I don't like it, this is why I want to keep it, and that sort of thing. And it also can be hard though, like some comments that I get too in declutters, if I'm decluttering something that I'm like, you know, I really did like this, but I just don't feel like I need it anymore, and people are like, you should be able to keep it if you want to. And then on the flip side, if I keep something that I really want to, where I'm like, you know, I don't really use this anymore, or maybe I'm just keeping it for sentimental value, and people are like, that's dumb, you could give it to someone, you know, who would use it more, and things like that. It's just one of those things on the internet I feel like you can't really win at these days. So it's hard, but I don't know, that's just kind of my feedback, mostly as a creator, but also a little bit as a viewer too. Like, I feel like I can see it both ways, and I mean, these days with the internet, and probably definitely with this video, it's just so hard to please everybody. There's so many people watching the internet now. There's so many people watching YouTube now. I think the amount of expectations and pressures on those who work in social media and put yourself out there in front of a camera, I think it's so much more challenging right now than it was even just a few years ago, because the amount of expectations is so high, and the amount of people being able to tell you their expectations or when you failed them is so much more. People do not hesitate now to take to your comment section, to take to Twitter, to, you know, anything like that, to tell you how you have failed them personally with their expectations of you. And everybody has a different expectation, right? So it's just, it's so challenging. I was trying to do my declutters pretty consistently there for a while, and they tend to still get pretty high views, which, you know, tells me that the majority of people are still enjoying them. So I guess my biggest thing is what I try to tell people is, if you don't like a certain type of video, like, don't click on it. This doesn't necessarily have to do with this, but I was watching a video the other night of a blogger doing like a fashion haul, and I saw in the comments someone was like, I would prefer to watch a TJ Maxx fashion haul, and it's like, well, then why'd you click on this video? It didn't say TJ Maxx fashion haul. Like, I don't understand. Or when people will leave comments on like my 30-minute videos and be like, this video is too long. Well, you saw it in the timestamp that it was 30 minutes. Why did you click on it? Like, I just don't understand, you know? There's so many videos out there. There's so many creators out there. I don't know how people are wasting time watching things that they don't want to watch, because dang, like, there's just so much out there right now. Chico Wright, I apologize in advance if I pronounce anybody's name wrong, because it's probably gonna happen. She says, canceling people or brands is very dramatic. As someone who has worked in law enforcement, I have seen way worse of things that people do and things going on in this world. I wish people were as passionate about being kinder and saving the environment as they were to canceling someone over an old tweet. Say it for the people in the back, girlfriend. I'm I am with you on that. I'm going to be using a new powder. This is from Urban Decay. This is the Ultimate Brush Off Set and Go. I grabbed the translucent powder. There's 5 different powders in different shades, but this is the universal translucent powder. So the powder just comes up like this, and then you tap your brush in it. I don't know if I like that. It seems very messy. I do not know if I like this, but we'll go ahead and give it a try. But I do agree with that. I'm someone who, like, I don't really understand the cancel culture as well, and it makes me sad when I see it getting so much more prevalent. Like, are there people who do bad things and they should be told, like, you know, you shouldn't do that or act that way? Like, yes, I do get that for sure. But at the same time, there's some things that I don't think, how do I say this? There's some things that probably aren't as big as they seem, that don't need to be, like, have such a huge uproar about them. But also at the same time, I'm not a fan of going back and, like, trying to dig up someone's past and dig up someone's history and do it with tweets. We've seen that with the beauty community. I also see it in the sports world a lot, and it usually is like, it's generally like someone who's done something good, or like something exciting is happening to a player, usually like a younger player, and then someone's like, well, 9 years ago they sent out this tweet, and it's like, okay, I would hope that person would have grown up in 9 years or whatever it is. Like, I just don't understand, like, bringing up someone's past, because, like, I'm not the same person I was even 4 years ago. I did not like that brush. I'm just going in with my sponge because that was really annoying. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But I'm not the same person I was 4 years ago. You're probably not the same person you were, you know, 2 years ago or whatever it may be. So I don't like digging up people's past. I think that's honestly, like, that's people just actively looking to bring someone down. And I'm not about that. If someone in real time posts something or says something like yeah, okay, let's focus on that. But just going around actively trying to ruin people is just really, it's really disheartening to me. And it's a hard thing with social media. This is another one. Kimberly Hillier says, decluttering. I get why a YouTuber needs to declutter. And yes, some people it makes sense to declutter, but so many people have to declutter. Then they buy the latest release palette or item and it's the same colors as what they got rid of. And to say, I don't have anything in my collection like that. Of course you don't. You just decluttered it last week. So definitely, like I said, I've been seeing a lot of people chattering about declutters, which is interesting to me. I don't know if I've really, like, seen a lot of these thoughts until some of these hot take videos have come out. But again, just kind of like what I said earlier, it's definitely hard as a creator who you're trying to get new things out there. You're trying to get new things to review. So I can understand it. You know, part of our job is to be able to review products and show products and help you make the decision of, do you want to purchase that or not? But that does mean having a larger collection, and not everybody wants to keep all of the makeup that they receive, so it does make sense to declutter. But interesting to see your guys' comments down below, or like what you want to see differently and such, because declutters used to be such a big thing. Like, I know a lot of people would just like love declutters and all of that, and like I said, my declutters still do get a fair amount of views. So I don't know, I just think that's an interesting topic. So Chelsea Caton says, I know the whole makeup launch after makeup launch after makeup launch has been the thing for a while. I'm just sad that ABH has joined in the race. I liked that they were closed along up until recently. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting to me with Anastasia to see the releases. I actually touched on this in one of my videos, but I can't remember which one it was now. But there was a video that I was talking about how I used to get so excited for the Anastasia releases, because it was like, ooh, a shiny new palette, this is gonna be so exciting. But yeah, when you start to release things really quickly with one another, it can kind of lose that. And then I think comparing Anastasia to Colourpop, who obviously Colourpop releases a ton, Colourpop is very affordable, so just for me, sometimes it's easier to be like, oh, okay, yeah, like I can grab that palette, that $12 palette, versus like, oh, now I have to go purchase another $60 palette. Like, that's just like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. But also, like, it's not great to just buy more inexpensive items more if you don't really want them, because then you're still just losing your money anyways and all of that. But yeah, I was surprised to see Anastasia start to pick it up with the releases, I'm not gonna lie. This one I thought was so funny. This is from Christy Meyers. She says, it drives me crazy when beauty gurus incorrectly use the term tight line. There's no such thing as a tight line. It's a makeup technique, not an actual part of the eyeball. Not sure if this is a hot take, but it feels good to get off my chest, LOL. So I remember reading that last night when I was going through to screenshot everything, and I was like, what does she mean? Like, because I was like, I tight line. I was like, what is she saying? I understand what, it took me a second, but I understand. So tight lining is basically when you take, I don't have an eyeliner out here, but when you take your eyeliner and run it along like this top, like where your top lashes are, right in there, that is when you are tight lining. And I understand where the confusion can be because on your lower lashes here, this is called your waterline. So you can put liner into your waterline, but she's saying this isn't a tight line, you are tight lining. There's the difference there. You got me good with that one. And I bet I have done that before. I bet I'm someone who has incorrectly said that. And now I feel like I'm gonna be thinking about that. So that was a good one, Christy. That was a good one. Abby Edwards says, unpopular opinion, I don't mind all the holiday collections coming in. Honestly, it excites me. I'm already in school, so summer seems so far over for me. That's so funny. I know some people, I think this one is really varied too. Like some people are like, no, like it is not time for holiday releases. Do not do that to me. And others are like, yeah, bring it on. Like, let's do this. I kind of lean more towards like the I'm just not ready yet type thing. But I know where I live, like our winters get so bad. Like definitely when I think of holiday and all of that, I think of like terrible snowstorms and everything. So maybe if you live in an area that's nice and sunny all the time, you lucky duck, maybe you wouldn't, but that's like where my mind goes when it's holiday. Okay, this is from Courtney Welch. She says, I'm totally okay with all the releases from Colourpop and others. It's good and affordable makeup. Not everyone is into the YouTube beauty community. This gives them options. That is very true, and I think it's something like important to remember. I believe we have another one coming up too that mentions about how not everyone who buys beauty watches beauty videos on the internet, and I think that's something important to remember. And it's something that I've totally fallen into myself, of thinking like, you know, I think it's because obviously I make beauty videos, but I watch beauty YouTube all day long, that you start to think that like we are the only consumers in this industry, and that is just like not true. I try to keep in mind my friends a lot, like my like personal group of friends that I have here, and you know, they never, like sometimes I'll tell them a story about like a drama or like if someone's canceled or something like that, and they're like, yeah, no, I don't care. I'm like, don't care about that. I'm not on the internet. Doesn't bother me. Like, you know, I'll tell them like different stories, and they just, it's almost in a way they just like don't really get it and such. And sometimes I'm like, wow, what a refreshing feeling that must be. Like you don't, like you're not going to be judged on what you're using and what you're buying and all of that. Like, wow, cool. But yeah, I can definitely see, you know, people who maybe aren't watching the beauty videos getting excited about the new releases because they have more options or things like that, and especially when it does come to affordable brands, but even more high-end brands. Yeah, I think people do like having options these days. Anna Schroeder says, I don't understand why eyeshadow palettes are well over $100 for some brands. I can't and I won't. It's coming up on the giving season. Ridiculous. You know, I get that. There's just some really pricey makeup, and what I try to remember is that, because I truly am there with you. Like I've said in my videos, like I can't purchase the Natasha Denona palettes, the Pat McGrath palettes. Like I kind of have a threshold level for each like different category, if you will. Like eyeshadow palettes, I have a number where I don't want to go over. Foundations, I have a number I don't want to go over. Lipsticks, I have a number I don't want to go over, or I want to get items with, you know, a discount or things like that. But what I try to remember is that everyone is different, and you know, there's plenty of people out there that do not have a problem paying that. Obviously, right, because brands wouldn't keep coming out with these products at these prices if no people were buying it, if they weren't, you know, probably getting a return on investment. It wouldn't make sense as a business to keep coming out with them. And one thing too is I do think it's important, and I don't mean this on you personally with the comment, but it's just something that I think about as I'm talking about this subject. I do think it's important not to shame people who do spend more money on a certain product or a certain industry that you wouldn't spend there, because we're all very different. And what one person chooses to spend their money on really doesn't have anything to do with you. So, you know, I've given this example in the past in one of my videos, but I had a friend kind of like, you know, like giving me heat about how much money I spend on makeup, but I'm like, you hire an interior designer for your house. Like, I don't do that, because to me, that's not where I would want to put my money. Some people put their money towards shoes, towards bags, towards travel, towards, you know, house decor and building onto their house or cars or whatever it may be. I mean, it is our money and we get to do with it what we want to do with it, and everybody's interests are so varied. But one thing that I really do, like, one thing I don't enjoy seeing is people getting shamed for their purchases or how much money they're spending on something. Everybody's different with their money. Everybody will put their money towards different things, and I think we just have to be accepting of that. But I know makeup is getting very expensive. You just got to keep doing you and spending it where you want to spend it, and don't spend it where you don't want to spend it. That's what I would say. Another declutter one. This is from Mia's Virtual Vanity. Hey girl. She says, beauty guru declutters are not the same as consumer declutters, but people aren't aware of it, and it teaches a cycle of buying and purging that's not sustainable for someone that doesn't get PR. I think you said something really important there, that the beauty gurus declutters are probably not the same as a consumer's declutter. I know I do get comments when I share like declutter or collection videos of people saying, you know, I'm not even a beauty YouTuber and I have more highlighters than you or more palettes than you. Like, there are definitely people out there with huge makeup collections and that sort of thing, and that's totally okay. You know, who are not also on the internet, and that's totally okay. But I do agree that probably for the majority, our makeup collections look different than kind of your regular, that was my version of quotes if you can while holding things, regular consumers, because I was a regular consumer up until just a few years ago when I started getting more PR and when I started trying to buy more for my channel, for reviews and all those sort of purposes. And I know that my declutters looked very different. I was going through products at a quicker rate. I was hitting pan on more products. I was going through, you know, whole powders and things like that. And now with a larger collection, that's not the case. So I do think that's something interesting to point out, but also saying about, you know, as a consumer, you might see this on the internet and think that it's kind of standard, or that's maybe what your collection should look like, or that you should continually declutter. I think that's a really good point that you brought up, and just kind of something thought-provoking. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that one for sure too. I think that was a good one. So this is from Kimberly Hillier again. She says, when a reviewer says they hate when a brand includes a brush in the palette because they never use them, well, I'm guessing not all consumers have huge brush and makeup collections. I love when brands include brushes and palettes. Even if I don't use the brush very much, I always keep it. You never know when you're traveling and forget a brush. The brush in a palette has saved me many times. She also says, as a YouTuber reviewing makeup, they forget that makeup isn't designed around a YouTuber with a huge collection. When they say, this is boring, I have all these colors already. Well, yeah, when your job is reviewing makeup and you're buying a ton of makeup and getting makeup in PR, yes, you probably do have every color and many things just like it already. But for those of us not buying every release, even if the palette is very similar to one that came out 2 seasons ago, well, we might not have all those colors yet. Or maybe we missed out on a limited edition release and are excited something similar came out. A lot of people who wear makeup don't have a YouTube collection. Should say, added to add, I love how you keep in mind your friends who don't have large collections. You haven't lost touch with reality. Thanks. I appreciate that, because I try to. I do, like I said, I've totally gotten into the mindset of like the beauty community is all that makes up the beauty industry. I've totally fallen into that. But it has been nice because, especially when it comes to brushes, a lot of my friends get like BoxyCharm and things like that, and they love when there's palettes, especially palettes with a brush. Those are the brushes that they use. I use this new palette from Doll 10. This is a face and eye palette. This is the Rose Brilliance face and eye palette. So we have eyeshadows and also a blush and highlight. I did my blush, but maybe I'll just top it a little bit and then also do the highlight. But this is a really beautiful palette and very like heavy duty, really pretty rose gold. Like I was saying, my friends, they get excited over those brushes, and those are the brushes that they wear and they you know, take with them, and that's what I see pop up. Like my friends who especially get the BoxyCharms, I can see, because I don't get BoxyCharm myself. For me, I just, like I have a larger makeup collection. I know that I would be getting BoxyCharm just for the videos. Like if I got it in PR, which might sound bad, but if it was something that was sent to me that I could share with people that say like, this is what's coming, or if you sign up for this one, this is what you'll get, or let's play around with these and see what different looks we can do. I think there's a big audience for that. I know a lot of people who do those kind of review focused videos, like BoxyCharm videos, get a ton of views, but I just don't feel like myself that I need to run out and grab it right now. But it's so funny because I still watch those videos of, you know, creators that I watch, even though I'm not getting the box. I'm like, yeah, like I'll see what's in there. And then it's funny because I'll go to a friend's house and she'll have her makeup bag out and I'm like, oh, did you get that in BoxyCharm? You get that in BoxyCharm? That's where a lot of my regular friends are getting their makeup, is from their subscription boxes. Cassidy Checkits says, I thought this was really interesting. Many beauty community members use so many mental health stigmatizing words all the time without even thinking twice about it. Saying this palette is used and abused. I'm a palette junkie. I'm obsessed with this palette since I'm so OCD. These are words that are not meant to describe makeup or people's feelings about it. These words are so deep and can hurt people, but it has almost become a mainstream speech for some. She put in parentheses, not you, Abby. I get that. I get that. I think that's really good. When I saw this coming, I thought, well, definitely I want to include this one because I think it's an interesting takeaway for some people. One thing that I had a comment on a video asking if I would do products that were like a gateway, and then I found myself saying it in a couple videos. I can't remember if it was before or after the comment, like if I said it in a video and then someone was like, that would be a good like video topic. But I think I was talking about, was it like a high-end mask, or was I talking about like a Benefit mascara? And I said I feel like Benefit mascaras were like my gateway to high-end mascaras, because before I started using them really consistently, I was kind of just doing like Maybelline and L'Oreal and, you know, more affordable type of mascara. So I was saying that was my gateway. So then when I saw a comment of you should do gateway products for makeup, I was like, that's a really good idea. I had it on my list, had a bunch of products written down, and then I was like, doesn't that mean gateway drug? Like, isn't that the term, is gateway drug? And so I Googled it just to be sure, and sure enough, anything that I could find about gateway was talking about gateway drugs, like drugs that you start that maybe aren't so bad, but then they're kind of like opening the door for these worse drugs. And I was like, I don't think that's a good thing to put in the title of my video. Even if I would have made that video, it wouldn't have been done with malice. It wouldn't have been done with that sort of intention. I could still see how it could have gone wrong. And so I was like, oh man, I am glad I took just a few seconds to just do a little bit of research and make sure I knew what I was talking about. That was a really good topic, and I feel like I'm getting eyeshadow all over me. This is more of a satiny color, and I'm kind of using it like how I would a matte. Maybe I should have sprayed my brush, but oh my goodness, I'm getting this pink all over me. Okay. But I think that's something interesting to bring up, and yeah, hopefully others can kind of take that into consideration. I definitely get when, you know, there's times where it's just going to be a slip up and you don't mean it, you don't mean anything insincere, or you're not trying to be insensitive about it, but it's something good to remember, to keep in the back of our minds. This is from Stacy Stiver. She says drugstore skincare can work better for some people than high-end. Definitely agree with that. I was someone who I used drugstore or affordable skincare up until probably like my late 20s. I felt like it worked just fine for me and all of that. I didn't have a lot of like really tough skincare issues that I felt like I had to seek out certain ingredients or products or things like that, and worked fine for me. And there's still some drugstore skincare. Like, I've definitely moved more high-end and even luxury these days with Drunk Elephant. But as I've gotten into my 30s now, I focus a lot on like anti-aging and trying to like seek out certain ingredients. But there's still definitely drugstore skincare that I think is really nice also. Tamar DM says, another one from me, when influencers don't like a palette or rank it lower because it doesn't have a mirror because it isn't travel friendly. Most people don't travel every week for that to be a requirement, and there's probably a mirror in another compact. That's a good point. I'm someone who falls into that myself. A lot of times I enjoy when there is a mirror in a palette. This one has a really big, nice mirror. I quite like it. I'm not gonna lie to you. But for me, traveling is a part of that. I I don't travel too frequently. I do have some travel coming up in the coming weeks here. I'll say for me, I typically get ready in my office next door, and I generally get ready while watching a YouTube video, and I don't have like a vanity or anything like that in my office. I just get ready at my desk. I literally just turn my chair a little bit to the side so I'm facing out the window to get that natural light, and that's how I do my makeup. Sometimes I like to use palettes because the mirrors are bigger. Otherwise I just use this. This is the Glamcore Ricky Loves Ricky Ricky Cutie. I will just use this to do my makeup. Okay, Elise Nicole, you have a few things here, so I'll go by them one by one. She says, it gets on my nerves how one YouTuber will say something and then they all start saying it, like moment when referring to an eyeshadow. Do they think it sounds cute? I actually can't think of what you mean by moment other than like, ooh, she's having a moment. That's all I could think of. So I'm not sure if that's what you mean, but kind of like repeating language. I can see that, and I know what you're saying there, and I probably do it myself. But I also like I don't know if you guys do it too, but like our friends group does it for sure. Like if someone comes up with like what we think is like a funny phrase, or they hear like a funny catchphrase or just like a funny word, we all start using it. So I'm that way on YouTube, and I'm that way in real life too. Like if someone comes up with something funny, all of a sudden you'll hear all of us repeating it. I've totally seen that happen. So I can see it both ways. I know what you mean though. I do. You also said, I know sometimes you get what you pay for, but I don't really like when people say it's good for the drugstore. I feel like that's code for the shimmers are lackluster and the pigment is mediocre, but hey, it was under $10. That's still $10 wasted, and makeup looks that I don't like. Yeah, I understand what you're saying there too, and that's something that I try not to do. Again, I have done this kind of like that whole, oh, you throw good for a girl, like that's how I think, that's kind of how I compare it. And it should just be like, if something's good, say it's good. If something's bad, say it's bad. So I definitely get it. And like I was saying too with the Colourpop, just because they release affordable doesn't mean you should just buy everything because it's affordable, because still you want to buy what you really like or what you're going to use. Otherwise, even though you paid a lesser price for it up front, it's still going to be a waste of money over time. He said, final complaint, I feel bad for YouTubers that let their subscribers control their channel to the point that they are bending over backwards and apologizing for everything. This encourages an entitled and toxic subscriber base. Yes, input is needed, but not to the extreme and with kind criticisms only. I'm subscribed to a channel that I really like, but her own subscribers can be very mean to her in the comments. Why? I think that's interesting. I definitely kind of mentioned this in my who has the power video of how challenging it can be as a creator right now, because we're trying to please people and we're trying to please those who watch our channel, but especially with how much growth YouTube has had and just social media and all of that, that it can just, I mean, it can just be very challenging right now to try to please everybody. And obviously you can't always please everybody. That isn't the way it works. That's not how it's going to go down. But I can understand. I'm someone who, I am a people pleaser. I want people to like me. I want people to enjoy the content that we put out, but it really is such a fine line these days, and it's so hard to, I just think it's so hard to balance. I do wish that there was more kindness. I do wish there was more constructive criticism versus just like, that looks bad on you. Why would you use that? Why did you buy that? Like those kinds of things are so overwhelming. Red Lover 6 says, I don't watch PR hauls because the packaging wastes in excessive gifts with the items. Too Faced giving sunglasses with their products, for example, make me irate at the companies. I definitely can get that. I am personally someone myself who I don't really enjoy PR hauls where like it's just a PR haul. I like seeing, you know, makeup being used, and I'm kind of the person that I'm like, make videos that I want to make, but also videos that I enjoy. And I was doing PR hauls for a while because it was requested. I still get requested to do PR hauls. But what I try to switch to doing is like my trying new makeup series that I do a lot on Fridays, where it's essentially a PR haul. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it's items that I've bought, or sometimes it's older items, but I'm using it in, you know, a get ready with me style, so you can see how it's applying and wearing and all of that. That's what I like personally. But I know, like, I remember talking to a creator once about PR hauls, and she said they're my most watched on my channel. That's what her viewers really enjoy seeing. And again, all channels are different, all audiences are different, and the like. But I can understand definitely as a consumer too, seeing kind of like these gifts and everything. I think it's maybe important to remember that this can happen across a lot of different industries. I myself have worked in a lot of different industries, and I have seen the perks and the gifts and the everything that can come along with different industries. It is not just the beauty industry. It's also not just beauty bloggers that get these sort of things. You know, I've touched on it in the past when people have complained about, not complained, but when people have made complaints about brand trips and such, that brand trips are not new. Brand trips did not start because of social media. Brand trips did not start because of the success, you know, beauty YouTubers had. These have been going on for a very long time. It used to be the editors of magazines that were going on these trips with brands to learn about new products because they were going to put them in their magazine and help sell. So, you know, things like that have been going on for a long time. It's just more, we see it now with social media, and so I get it. But there's a lot of different industries that really reward the people who are working for them and who are selling their products from I mean, my husband used to work in banking, so I can say from banking, other financial services. I mean, some of the people who work in those industries get huge rewards for doing their job and such. From medical, I mean, the hotel industry, the travel industry, all areas that I've worked in. It's not just the, I mean, I get gifts as a book blogger. I mean, I've gotten watches, I've gotten purses, I've gotten apparel, I've gotten sunglasses, I've gotten candy. Oh, I love when I get candy. I've gotten jewelry. Like, it happens across a lot of different industries. It's just not always so in your face, I guess, about it because of YouTube. Hopefully that makes sense. Katie Bickham says, I do not think full coverage foundation looks good. And then Tamar, you also said, do people actually wear full coverage foundation in real life, and how on earth does it and how on earth does one make it look not bad? Yeah, I'm someone who I'm not a big full coverage gal myself. I can see it, especially for things like cameras and with lighting and, you know, obviously like red carpets or I don't know, things like that, but I'm not one who really loves it in real life either. Have to do with, you know, if you have certain skin issues or redness or things like that, like maybe full coverage kind of is like a boost of confidence too. I'm not sure. Carly B713 says, I don't really think powder products expire. I've had some palettes, blushes, bronzers that I've had for years and still work for me. Some shimmer shadows do break out more easily, but they work fine. I'm also not a fan of drugstore powder products. They break before I can get any good use out of them. Dude, I'm kind of with you there. Like, some people will be like, have you had that palette for a long time? I think it must be expired by now. And I'm like, you know what? I still think that it's going just fine. So I tend to, like, especially with powder products, I don't really look at the, like, expiration dates. I just go until I feel like it can't go anymore. Also talking about drugstore products, powder products that can break. Again, even if you paid a lesser price for something, but you still can't get enough use out of it, that's still a waste of money. So I get that. Aria Makes Things says, the kind of makeup that looks good on camera doesn't always translate to looking good in real life. I would agree. There's even sometimes I'll be doing my makeup and I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. I don't think it looks good. And people will be like, it looks great on camera though. And I'm like, actually kind of does look good on camera. That has happened before. But also shimmers in the crease are totally fine, as are all shimmer looks, as is skipping the false lashes, as is anything at all you feel like wearing. I always vibe most with YouTubers who follow their preferences, whatever they are. I love that. I think that's pretty funny. Yeah, definitely whatever your makeup preferences are, you should just do you. You know, it's, I kind of say sometimes I don't like when people chide others for, you know, staying in your comfort zone, because we all have a comfort zone. It just doesn't all look similar to one another, but it's fun to step out of it sometimes. But it's also, I think it's nice to kind of have like your signature looks or your signature techniques or your signature colors, or I don't know, things like that. Like, I think that's what makes people themselves, you know, not just always trying to do, not always trying to switch things up or always do something different, or always, because it's almost like you don't know who you are when you do that. Again, it's fun to switch things up every once in a while, but I don't think there's anything wrong with knowing what you like and doing that. I'm also using a new mascara from Doll 10 Beauty. This is the Effort Lash XL Lash Expanding Mascara. Bar Lover 6, you have a few here, but one was brands that should collab with makeup artists and artists, not big name gurus. I can see where people would probably think that, but and that's, I mean, I think that's how a lot of things used to be too, that was kind of who the collabs are with, or who products were maybe being sent to, and things like that. But, you know, as with evolving and changing, social media is so prevalent these days. Social media influencers truly do have a lot of influence, and I think that it makes sense because I think that they are reaching a really large audience. Same thing like I was saying with editors of magazines. Like when I was growing up, that was how I was getting my information about beauty, was through magazines. So it made sense to send editors and other magazine workers the new products, to send them out to these kind of like brand trips, to these launch parties, because they were the ones promoting, they were the ones having the most influence and reaching as many customers. So it makes sense to put that into their hands. And as we have changed and as social media has grown, a lot of influencers now have a lot of that influence. So it makes sense for brands. It's just, I mean, it's marketing. To me, it makes sense. Most YouTubers still use limited edition and discontinued items. Again, I think that's kind of a slippery slope, because some people get upset when you use limited edition makeup or makeup that's no longer available, because they want to purchase what they see on you or what they see you using. And then at the same time, people want to see those videos because they, you know, have purchased those products and they want to see them in action. One thing that I would recommend, this actually came in through my Who Has the Power video, when we were talking about how, you know, videos using older products get so requested, but they're so less viewed. Someone wrote in a comment and said, I don't understand, like, why, if you have a palette that's older and you want to see reviews on it, type that into the search bar and find older videos and go off of those. And I was like, I literally have never thought of it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. There's going to be a ton of videos out there with limited edition and discontinued products. If you want to see something swatched, if you want to see a tutorial or different looks, there's going to be a whole plethora of videos out there if you search for them. I had never even thought of that myself. I was like, that's a really good point, actually. So that's something that I would say, if there's a particular product or palette or something that you want to see some looks on, maybe go back and watch some older videos, because there's probably going to be a lot there. I truly never even thought of that. This is from Megan Rabideau. Hey girl. I do not know if I said your last name right. She says, I don't really understand the makeup fatigue concept. As a normal consumer, it's nice to see a lot of variety from a lot of different brands, and since so much stuff is always coming out, I can be more patient and wait for the perfect products for me and my makeup style. I don't have to buy everything. For YouTubers, I kind of understand that you are overwhelmed with new releases, but at the same time, doesn't that mean you have more options for content? You don't necessarily have to buy things that you don't like just for reviews. Even if you are getting a ton of PR, then great, you don't actually have to buy this stuff unless you really want it. Just my take, not trying to say anyone's feelings aren't justified. I think that's a good point too, and kind of what we talked about earlier, of making sure to remember that the beauty industry, the online beauty community does not make up the entire beauty industry. Whew. But I do think that's a good point, and again, kind of referring to some of my friends in real life, I have never heard one of my girlfriends say that they have makeup fatigue. I mean, this is something that I say myself. I say it almost every week in my Will I Buy It series, and sometimes part of the fatigue for me is that pressure, that expectation to review a bunch of products, and just knowing I can't do everything, I can't buy it all. Even if I got every single piece of makeup sent to me in PR, I can't use it all, I can't try it all. So it's kind of exhausting sometimes to think about it and just feel like you're letting someone down. I don't know, it's kind of a hard thing. But yeah, like you said, as a normal consumer, you like having the variety. And like I said, I've never had one of my girlfriends be like, I am just so fatigued by all these makeup releases. I mean, a lot of times they have no idea that some of these releases are coming out. They don't keep up with it on Instagram. They don't keep up with it on YouTube and Twitter. They just go to the store and buy what they want to buy, and that's it. Awkwardly Angie says, when someone reviewing a palette fusses about pan sizes being too big, they say, who will use it anyway? Well, plenty of normal everyday makeup wearers actually do go through their products, because we aren't buying every palette to review. More products makes good sense to those using up their stuff. Again, again, this is so interesting to have so many online community versus like the other part of the industry. I think a lot of these comments are super fascinating to me right now. So I believe it was with the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded. They had like two of the different transition shades were larger palettes, and I was seeing a lot of people complaining like they should be the same, and I'm thinking I have seen my girlfriend's naked palettes from Urban Decay, and those like neutral transition shades or what have you are almost always fully used up. I don't know, sometimes I think Urban Decay should get more credit than they get. I think they're a brand who, I think they try to please both aspects. They try to please the online community, and they try to please their normal everyday consumers who really, I feel like the naked palettes were so popular because so many of those normal consumers were the ones buying them and going through them and rebuying them. I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't have one girlfriend in like my close group of friends who doesn't have a naked palette in her collection right now, because I see them in the makeup bags. I see those shades being gone through. Nita, she says, when people complain over new releases and blaming the brands for their spending habits, it's so silly to me. The brands just do their job. If you don't have the money to spend on makeup, then don't buy it. No one forces you. You're all grown up. Jeez. I do think that is a hard part. I've seen some videos of consumers or of creators saying that, you know, we really do have to, like, we're in charge of our own financials, and even if you hear someone talking about something and they absolutely love it, you know, can you necessarily go out and buy it? Like, no, you have to be looking at your own financials and your own situation and make your own decisions from there. So yeah, it's definitely tough. It can be hard, I think, sometimes on the creator side of it, to feel like you're the reason people have spent too much money. You know, sometimes, I'm the one that say, like, I'll say it too, like, oh, you know, this creator, oh man, you got me again to buy this real expensive product. Yeah, it was their review, but I bought it. They didn't force me to buy it just because they gave something a good review or said that they loved it. No one forced me to buy that product. I made the decision. I purchased it myself. So I do think that's a good thing to remember, is that you are in charge of what you are buying. No one is forcing you to do it. Even if you hear great reviews, you really do have to take a moment and think about your own situation. That's a good point. Okay, and then Mariah, you have a couple. You said, when a beauty guru is sitting with their phone right next to them and they say, I don't know what this is called, how much this is, etc. You have the internet right there. You're making a YouTube video to share your knowledge. OMG, just take the 30 seconds to look the product information up. I've stopped watching certain YouTubers completely for being consistently lazy like that. Why am I watching you if you can't be bothered to take the time to educate yourself before you get in front of the camera? I'll say I am 1000% guilty of this myself, especially when I don't have my phone with me. A lot of times I'm on my phone so much during the day that when I film, if I don't need my phone, I will have it charging in another room. And if I sit down and I can't, like, there'll be times where I blank on like a name, right? Like I can't remember a name, or I can't remember a price of something. So just for like my like little point of view, my memory card, or my camera, I guess it is, I can film for 20 minutes, then I just have to turn it off, and then I have to turn it back on, and then I'll film again for another 20 minutes. I try to film during that whole time, and I try not to like take up space. That's why like I do my browse off camera. I shut the camera off, because then I know when I come back on, I can film for that full 20 minutes again. It's just a weird thing. So the thought of like getting up and having to like walk away and find my phone and look something up, it's just like taking time. I don't know what it is. It's such a weird thing, but I'm just telling you honestly how I feel. A lot of times I try to write down notes of like either prices or names or whatever it is I'm going to be talking about. I try to have like a list with me already in here, but there's definitely times where I fail at that. And then you also said, I do not care about beauty gurus' lives outside of YouTube. I'm here for the reviews and their thoughts on products. I refuse to watch vlogs of their daily lives. I can tell when someone's follower count goes to their heads, because they will say things like, sorry, I haven't been vlogging lately. Who's complaining? Most likely no one. I can see that. I know that there's definitely some people who really just want to hear about the makeup. They want to see the reviews. They want to see tutorials. But I think a lot of people, we actually touched about this in a live chat that I was doing one day. There's a lot of people who definitely do feel a connection to those that they're watching online, and they do care about their outside lives, and they like to see those vlogs. I actually feel like vlogs and getting to know people a little bit more behind like the setup and the lights and everything, I feel like those videos are actually gaining popularity on YouTube these days. Could just be me or what I'm seeing, but I get it. I think that there's two different crowds that come to YouTube. One just want the makeup. One wants to feel like they're friends with the people that they are watching and they care about their personal lives. I know I'm one of those that fall into that category. I care about what people are doing. I care about if they're okay. You know, I love watching Casey Holmes with her baby and her vlogs and things like that. And like even like Jamie Genevieve, she does a vlog every week and I get excited to watch those. And yeah, I think it's interesting to see it. It's a different facet that I think it's also a reason why reality TV got so big, right? I mean, several years ago, multiple years ago, reality TV got really big of taking strangers and putting them in a house together and seeing how they react and seeing how they live. I mean, reality TV still is dominant these days. It's almost more popular than your scripted shows are the reality shows. So I don't know, I think it's almost kind of like human nature, wanting to know other people and behind the scenes and what it's like when the camera's off and, you know, different things like that, but technically the camera's on. But, you know, so I do agree. I think that there's two different groups. I happen to personally fall into the group of I like to know what people are up to. Yeah. And then last one, we'll be done. I know it's gonna be so long. Marley B713 says, I wish beauty gurus were more transparent about how often they get facials and extractions. Desi and Katie seem to be pretty good about it, but it seems misleading to recommend skincare, primer, foundation, etc. I do get that. I have wished that myself because sometimes it can be very hard to watch people who get very quality, top-notch spa treatments every week, every month, whatever it may be, because, you know, I'm someone who I don't get that. Having some of those treatments done, like the lights and the, I mean, I see things on Instagram all the time of people getting this and it's gonna make your skin younger and healthier and all these different things. It would be nice to know that, especially if people are reviewing skincare and, you know, some of your base makeup products. I definitely see your point there. I think that is a good thing. I can see, like, just trying to think as a creator on that side, I can see where, like, you might get backlash or you might, you know, get, you know, kind of shamed for maybe spending your money that way or different things like that. I guess I can see that point of view, but I do think it's important. I do agree with what you're saying there. It's nice to know maybe why your skin looks so great or youthful or fantastic. Is it really your skincare or is it your skincare plus your trips to the spa? I feel it. I feel what you're saying there. But after that, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I know this is gonna be a long one. This is probably gonna be really tough for me to edit, but I really wanted to do my version of the hot takes. So thank you to everyone on my YouTube community tab that sent something in. I appreciate it so much. I'm gonna be so excited to get your comments, and we had a lot of different things that we talked about today, and I'm just gonna be really curious to hear your feedback. Again, thank you to Emily Noel for such a fun idea. I will have her video and some other videos linked in my description box if you want to check out more videos like this. And if you guys have any other videos that you'd like to see me do, especially videos that subscribers can take part in and write in your comments and suggestions and stuff for the video, I think those are really fun. So let me know if you have any other ideas. Again, I'll link everything that I used. Other than that, if you guys did enjoy today's video, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up. I hope that you'll also consider subscribing before you go, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.